With dimensions of 24 inches to the bottom for the bottom shelf, 16 inches for the middle shelf above it, and then 20 inches for the next highest shelf. The room measured 12 foot 3 inches across, and I had bought 12 foot 2x4s in order to build the shelves on top of that. I cut two 2x4s 24 inches long and put the 2x4 by 12 foot on top of both of them in order to hold it up while I screwed it to the wall studs using 3.5 inch wood screws. Next, I cut two 16-inch long boards and placed it on top of the first 12-foot board so that it would hold up the second 12-foot board. It's important to make sure that your boards are level, even though I've spaced it off the floor. Your floor may not be level. Mine wasn't level by 1 inch from end to end. Again, I use 3.5 inch screws and screw it into all the studs that I can on that wall. And finally, I cut two 20-inch boards and used them to hold up the last 12-foot board for the last shelf. That's all 3 shelf boards on one side. Now I have to do 3 shelf boards on the other side, and they have to be exactly the same as the first 3. I'm going to use my 24-inch boards, my 16-inch boards, and my 20-inch boards again. I used the 2 24-inch boards upright to put another 12-foot board on there, and I used 2 3.5-inch screws to screw the 2 12-foot boards together. They were exactly parallel to each other. Next, I placed the 2 16-inch uprights and another 12-foot board and lightly screwed it to the other 12-foot board. Then I used the 20-inch boards upright and put in 2 screws to hold the 2 12-foot boards parallel to each other temporarily. Next, I cut 3 72-inch 6-foot boards and these are going to be my uprights. These are going to be the legs that stand up and down for the outside side of the shelves. These have to be vertical and they have to be straight. So you can see that I'm using a level to tap them straight up and down, and I'm screwing them to the outside 12-foot boards. Once all of that is screwed together, then I unscrew the temporary 3.5-inch screws that I had put in, screwing the 12-foot boards together. Now I have 2 identical sides and I can separate. On each side wall, I am screwing in 21-inch long 2x4s, 3 on each side. I'm hitting studs for strength. These are going to support the shelves on each end. The reason these are 21 inches long is I want my shelf to be 24 inches across. Well, one 2x4 is 1.5 inches thick. So 2 of them is 3 inches thick. So if you take 24 inches overall width minus the 3 inches, that leaves you with 21-inch boards. Now that I have all the 21-inch boards screwed on the walls, I can slide the other side of the shelf up there and join it together. I'm also installing some more 21-inch boards so that it adds more support in for the shelf boards. I'm also screwing the uprights to the walls on each side. For shelving, I'm using 1/2 inch OSB. I cut it in 4-foot sections so that it was easier to place. And I started with the ends on each side, and then I'm going to put in a middle section. Because my overall length on my shelves was 12 foot 3 inches, my middle section is actually going to be around 51 inches because that would be 3 extra inches long. So I had to piece that in to get that right, since it wasn't a normal 48 inch 4-foot section. My middle shelf I screwed down with some 1.5 inch drywall screws. The other 2 shelves, I didn't screw them down, I just left them laying on top. I wanted to see how the 1/2 inch OSB reacted either way. And once you have all the shelf boards in place and they're not going to move, then you're ready to clean up and start putting stuff on your shelves. These shelves are very sturdy and can support a lot of weight, and they take up the whole wall space, and it definitely clears up the floor space. And the result is a clean shop. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. See you soon, YouTube.